Welcome to Ring Talk, Season 2, Episode 5. I'm going to go 5. Six. Of course it's 6, maybe. How we doing? Me, Martin Theobald, and with Steve Goodwin. How are you, Steve?
Hey, so as you know, we're recording late. It's been a very stressful last hour, to say the least. We've pulled out everything else.
Put this off by 45 minutes because of trying to rearrange your event on Saturday.
Yeah, so be able to rematch. One fight we couldn't arrange, that's gone. Another fight we've done, we've had to put another fight on, but we'll cover that when we discuss the show.
Yeah, and I mean, I realised last week when we discussed kind of where you're at in boxing and what boxing's doing for you and what you're doing for boxing, there was probably a negative like energy about it. But look, you've got a show Saturday night. It's all positive now. It's all going ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think people realise how frustrating that was a day where we got the news, the latest news of how it was being dealt with, and it's very negative. It's very difficult to be at the receiving end of this, honestly, to try and arrange boxing events to something you've been committed to for 11 years, and to know full well that what's happening none of it makes any sense, any logical sense to normal people. It makes no sense. It really doesn't. And you know, I'll give you one example very quickly. We're COVID testing everybody on Friday at the weigh-in at my offices. Everybody's in going home. They're going to the venue on Saturday because this is supposed to be COVID testing. Why would we not be arranging the COVID testing in a hotel room next door in a conference room and COVID testing on Saturday and then taking them to the venue? Can you tell me why not? It makes no sense. And so I'm trying to deal with this stuff, and it's very difficult, and it's costing us a lot of money. Last week, I feel a bit better today. We're getting near to a show. It's nice to be back again, but it is going to be very difficult. And as I say, a lot of people going forward, especially down in the London area, will not be promoting going forward.
Yeah, but you are Saturday night.
We are, and we've got 2 weekends running, and we're cracking on as we are for the next 3 shows. And we've got exciting stuff to look forward to with our fighters on TV and stuff like that. So that, you know, there's some real good things going on.
Real. Let's start with Saturday night. Let's get straight in. So you got main event, Jamani Camero against Billy Allington.
Now, Billy Allington, this is a cracking fight because Jamani on paper, he's 10-7, and he's fighting Billy Allington, who's only lost 1 in 12. So on paper, people will probably think Billy Allington is the favourite for that. I don't. I think Jamani's the favourite for it. I think Billy Allington's a cracking little fighter, cracking fighter. But I think Jamani's got, you know, Jamani is at super lightweight. I think he's exceptional at that weight. Yeah, he's exceptional weight and exceptional at that weight. So, but I think it's an absolute cracker, and it'll be the last fight on. So anybody going should stay for that fight because it will be a barnstormer, that fight, a barnstormer.
Yeah, and Jamani's. I know it's a cliche, but he's never in a bad fight. Doesn't matter who he's against. He'll box up and he'll box down to the levels.
And he's looking now to become a 2-weight Southern Area champion, and there's not that many of them. I need to actually work out how many people have done that. I mean, Jamie Spate is one that springs to mind. Yeah. But I mean, he's going to become hopefully a 2-weight champion. And then we'll be, if somebody wants, we'll probably have a nice defence, and then we'll be looking to move on with him because I think he's capable of winning at a much higher level than Southern Area because he's now training like a champion, not training as a journeyman.
Wouldn't that be amazing if he went on and became an English champion?
I don't see why not. Genuinely don't see why not.
Yeah. And you've cited before that him winning the Southern Area was probably your biggest achievement.
Yeah.
But for him to go one higher than that would be incredible.
I mean, he's a pleasure. Honestly, it's an honour and a privilege and a pleasure to manage him. And you can't say that about every fighter you have, but there are some you can say that. But for him, it is. I have the utmost respect for that man.
And also, I mean, most boxers are top people, men, women, whatever. Jamani is exceptional, like exceptional. I've got so much time for that man. So I'd love to see him do it Saturday night.
But I also want to say thank you to Martin Bowers and Billy Allington for stepping in when Conor Vian couldn't do it. So they saved the show by stepping in. So I want to say a big thank you to them for doing that because, you know, full respect to them. They've taken it at relatively short notice. So and they've taken the opportunity. So thank you very much for them for saving the show, and full respect to those people because good on them for doing it. So I just wanted to say that. So full respect to them.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, that's the main event of Saturday night.
So then let's look at what else we've got. And one of the big panics, Amar Kiani, who I think is destined. I think he's destined for TV. I think he's 2-0. I think he's exciting. He's got a humongous fan base that will be well suited for television. And his opponent pulled out tonight at 7:45, where there are apparently 50 fights not matched this weekend because promoters can't get opponents. It's that desperate. It's carnage. But we managed in 45 minutes to replace him. And I want to say a big thank you to Jordan Fisher and his trainer Pebbles for agreeing to do this at such late notice. And they're good people. And thank you very much for saving that for Shockey, for Amar. And I'm looking forward to that. And that will be the second to last fight of the night.
And I can I can vouch for the fact that 45 minutes ago, there was no fight.
There was no
45 minutes ago, Steve was sat, we put off recording and he turned off his camera while he went away and swore for a little while and then solved the problem.
That's what we tried to do. But unfortunately, not the same for Dennis Denneker, Jeff. His fight has gone. We couldn't. Michael Mooney has now decided he won't box. He cannot box for probably for most of September. So Dennis Denneker, unfortunately, has lost his opponent, and there just aren't the opponents there at 10 stone 4. So we're going to try and reschedule Dennis for 3 weeks' time. So that's off, and we've replaced that with a late substitute fight, literally tonight again. So we've still got the 7 because we were down to 5, literally at some point.
Which it goes back to what you were saying before about the madness of only being allowed 7.
Because we were literally 2 hours ago, at 5 fights. Yeah. And then losing even more money, and now we're up to 7 again. But we've got to hope nobody fails a COVID test.
Yeah.
But it's extremely difficult to operate under these conditions. Extremely difficult.
And you don't want to pull a card. It's the last thing you want to do. Is
we've never pulled a card in our lives. We're not like other promoters. And there's been plenty of cards pulled this year. We don't pull cards. So it just means it's just an horrific financial situation for us. But the good news is the card goes ahead, barring any more disasters. Then we've got 7 fights, and there's some cracking little fights. That Amar Kiani fight is going to be a cracking fight because Jordan Fisher's coming to win. It's his debut. He's coming. They're not. Although he's fighting on the right hand side of the bill, he's coming to win. That's why it's second. That will be the second last fight because that has got to be worth watching. Because Amar Kiani, I think, is an exceptional talent. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. It's going to be a good fight.
And he'll bring a big crowd with him as well, won't he? This Kiani can.
As usual. He's a great kid and he does really well. So let's just go through the rest. Billy Stanbury, latest addition to the show from Plymouth. Now Billy is talented kid, real talented kid. He's fighting again at Plymouth on the 16th of October. Brings a big crowd. I mean, he's done more tickets for this show coming from Plymouth than people in London. Some kids from London on this show have done. So
and he's a late addition.
And he's late edition. And that's in London. He's another lad that, if we get it right, I can see being on TV. I think he's got everything. So he's fighting Robbie Chapman. Robbie Chapman, appreciate Robbie coming and fighting him. So good luck to them. And that'll be a cracking little fight. Shockey Khan, he's had a lot of big problems with injuries. Previously, he fights Jordan Granham. He's having only his second fight of his pro career. Been very unlucky with injuries.
It feels like Shockey's been around for a while, doesn't it? We spoke with him probably a couple of years back.
He's only fought once. He's been injury prone. But in this world, and I don't think he's had the ideal preparation either. But in this world we are now in, injury prone boxers are not going to get on. Because promoters can't have people pulling out. We've had fighters pull out. I had somebody pull out of a show and they said, when can I fight in November? I said, that's you done till 2022 because if you pull out now, you're off. You can't go and take the place of somebody that's not had the opportunity to fight you. If you're going to pull off, I'm afraid you're off. It's just how it's going to be, and how it's going to be a hard, ruthless world for fighters. You've got to basically realize where we're in now. Promoters aren't going to can't keep taking chances on kids. Shocky's like, he's fighting, so good luck, great for him. But you've got to keep away. You've got to keep injury free to build up through the small halls now. It's not easy. But Shocky's really talented as well, and I think he's got a good future ahead of him. So Jack Owen's the next one. Now his fight went a week ago. So his was down, but unfortunately Glenn Banks and Kristaps Zalgis came in and resurrected it. That was only saved, I think, on Friday. That was gone on Friday. So we were able to save that. And Glenn Banks, who's a friend of mine, he was able to help out. And Kristaps, full credit to him and respect for him. These fighters are on the right-hand side that have helped us out here. We owe them so much for what they've done, because we could have easily been down to 4 fights if it wasn't for the relationships we have with people and people that have helped us out. So well done to Glenn Banks and Kristaps for that. And actually, he's not a bad fighter, Kristaps. He's had 5 wins as a journeyman, and he really does come and have a go. And Jack Owen is 3-0-1. It'll be a good little fight, a good little scrap. Yeah. And then we've got 2 others making their debut. Tyler Marriott, who's really been looking forward to this. He's so excited, and he's been working really hard on ticket sales. And I want to give him a lot of praise, because, you know, he has worked so hard at his ticketing. He's took on board everything we told him. He fights Neem Ali at welterweight, and Tyler's, you know, a good kid. And Christophe Zarel, he's gone well over on his tickets as well. So good luck to him. These kids we tell them, you've got to be doing 2 jobs now. You've got to be selling, you've got to be fighting. So now I want to see how good they are in the ring. And he fights Lee Devine. So some good cracking little fights, some really exciting talent coming through. Billy Stanbury is one to watch, as I say. Amakiani, Shocky Khan's one for the future. And I'm just gutted Dennis Denikjev is off this card, because I think he's a superstar. And Tyler and Christoph, who are making their debuts, we'll see how they look, and we'll work on building them from here. So I'm excited to get back to your call. Are you going Saturday, by the way?
I think I am. I'm trying to work out things with my kids, so I may end up coming down with one of my kids, possibly.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Okay. So that's Saturday's card, and then
I will be gutted if I can't, because I've just missed going into York Hall.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I've missed it a lot, and just to be around everyone, like, you know, when you get that buzz when you go through, and there's all the people that you kind of stop and just chat to, and you spend 5 minutes with them, 5 minutes with them, and then, you know, you're 2 hours in at that point, and then it's just that all that motion that you go through of a boxing card is. I've missed it. So all being
I haven't missed this matching, Lark, though. I mean, I've had 4 dropouts with a week to go. It's been horrific. So, and we've managed to still get to the 7 fights. This is where the board you can't, if you only had, you know, if it's just, you just can't work on these numbers. It's impossible. You know, it's impossible. But there we go. We've managed to do it. We've got a little card going. It's going to be I think it'll be quite buzzy. There'll be quite a lot of excitement around the Jumani Billy Allington fight, definitely around Amakiani's return. And a lot of the other kids have done well as well. Shocky's done well at tickets, and so's Christoph. Tyler has. I mean, they've worked really hard, these lads, at selling tickets. And that's something you like to see, because you know they're making the effort, and you want to move heaven and high earth to them to fight, no matter whether we're losing money. If they're doing their bit, you want to do your bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it creates that buzz as well when they come to the ring. Nothing worse than a flat York Hall when nobody's there to support you.
Exactly. No, so it's good. So it's all's well that appears to be ending well.
Excellent. People can still get tickets?
Plenty of tickets, because you can't. If you've only got 7 fights, you're not going to get a capacity York Hall, are you? It's a problem. Yeah. So there'll be tickets on the door or from the boxes if you want to go to the boxes until Friday.
Excellent. All right. So people know where to get them. Go to Boxers. Go to Steve. Go to myfighttickets.com, turn up on the door, just get yourself down there. If I can get down there with probably a child in tow, then I'm getting there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. What did
cool.
you make? Let's just go through last week very quickly. What did you make of it?
Well, the Josh Warrington one.
Yeah, let's take Warrington as a start. Yeah, I've got a view on that fight you might not agree with.
I thought he was going to get beaten. And
I agree. He's losing that fight. Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying he was looking for a way out. I just think he was boxing to. It's like he'd revved himself up higher than he should have ever been, and was so like over capacity that there's no way that could have gone on for more than 3-4 rounds before he'd have got stopped anyway, in my view.
Do you know, I thought that, and like somebody said to me today, I said that to them on the phone, and they said to me, you don't know what you're watching. And I said, I honestly thought Lara would win that fight. That was I thought that Lara was on way to win that. And Eddie's going that he was back to his best, Eddie Hearn. I don't agree with that at all. I think Lara it was only a matter of time. I genuinely feel that. I wanted Lara. Yeah, but
Lara looked comfortable. Everything he hit Warrington with was seeming to catch his attention. As I say, Warrington, there is not a hope in, and I know Warrington's got a phenomenal engine, but he could not have kept up that intensity level over the course of the fight. I just think Lara would have, by the mid rounds, got to him.
Yeah, I think that as well. What do you think of the rest of the card?
Granados ruined it, didn't he? Like, I love Conor Benn. I absolutely love him. I think he's a superstar in the making. I think everything about him, his personality in the ring, out of the ring. But Granados ruined that. That was a hard 10-round watch by the end. But I don't lay any of the blame for that at Conor Benn's door. I blame it all on Granados. How about you?
No, I mean, I'm the same. I didn't think the undercard, I didn't think it was that great in the end. It wasn't that, again, you can't say it before, they were one-sided fights, weren't they? Maxi Hughes just really took Straffon apart.
I'm going to come on to that one in a minute because I've got my own view on that. Right. The biggest winner out of the weekend's boxing was not Conor Benn, was not Katie Taylor, was not Maxi Hughes. It was the IBO. In that their belt was paraded around Headingley. He was talked about as a world champion. He was this, that, and he's beaten fucking Staffron, or whatever his name is, who the only person I know that Staffron has fought is James Tennyson, who we know is flawed.
Yeah.
Like, he isn't a world champion. I'm not being horrible about it, but he's not. He beat a bloke that, independently, I'm guessing he probably wasn't in the top 20, top 30. I don't know who Staffron is. So it's not that phenomenal a performance.
No.
I'm all on board with Maxi Hughes having this kind of, Indian summer to his career, but it does nothing for me that he's beaten Staffron for an IBO world title. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. Like, I don't care about Staffron. I didn't before. I don't after. There's nothing in that for me whatsoever. And I know that sounds harsh on Maxi Hughes, but whatever. I'm not that bothered.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But it wasn't great to watch. The Ebony Bridges fight was...
She lost that. She lost. I'm not having anything else. And that was the girl that Ellie Scotney took apart on her debut.
Yeah.
Bridges, she lost that. And it's unfortunate she hurt her hand, but people hurt their hands. They lose fights because of it. She lost that fight because of it, but she didn't officially. So, and Katie Taylor... what we get told about Katie Taylor is not what we see in Katie Taylor. That'd be my view.
She gets beat by Serrano, in my opinion. Well, she might get the decision against Serrano, but she'll get beat.
Yeah. I get she's a phenomenal boxer. I get she's, her accomplishments, her achievements are not in doubt. But I don't have a reason to care about Katie Taylor. It doesn't do anything for me, if I'm honest. I would like to have seen her really put her foot down and assert herself, but there we go. So no, it's hard to retrospectively say it wasn't very good because actually on paper it was good. So I don't have an issue with it. But it wasn't the most enjoyable night of boxing. But I don't, you can't blame Matchroom for that.
No,
I can blame Granados and the unfortunate factor that the main event got ended in 2 rounds.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's not anyone's fault.
No, just happens. But yeah, it didn't work on paper. It was a good card, and
yeah,
what do you make of the Sky offering so far? What you're seeing?
I like it. I mean, the first one's a Newcastle one, isn't it? Where it's Savannah Marshall and Hugh.
What about you got the Wasserman one, haven't you, on the 2nd of October?
Is that the first one on Sky Sports?
The first one, yeah, because the Newcastle one comes after, doesn't it?
I couldn't remember which way around it went, but
you might be right. I thought Newcastle came after. No, Newcastle comes after that.
Okay.
It's a Wembley one where Linus Udofia. You see what we've got for him?
Yeah.
Julio Venosi. Yes. Very well known to us. He's been on our shows.
Indeed. And I recognise the name.
Do you remember seeing him?
Yeah, who's he fought that I would remember? But I know his name. I just couldn't remember who it was that he'd been in with.
Well, he's fought. I think he fought Richard Samuels on our show. He beat him 59-55. He's fought Angel Emeloff, beating 59-56. Angel Emeloff, we've seen him. Yep. Poplauskas, we've had, he beat him 59-56. I mean, he's got good record, 17 wins and 3 losses. But it's good.
Yeah.
But he's coming up, but it's a good match for Linus. I think we're going to see Linus look exceptional.
So let's talk about this then, because we couldn't last week, but we knew it was happening. But now we can talk about it. So Linus Udofia making his Wasserman debut, not his Sky Sports debut, because he's been on there twice.
Yeah.
His Wasserman debut against the name I'm never going to be able to
pronounce. Yeah.
Yeah. On the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it going to be televised? That'd be the first question.
I guess that will be down to Sky. They've got 6-10 rounders. You've got Eubank Jr., you've got Avanesi and Liam Taylor. That's got to be shown, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You've then got Jamal Ledoux, Jermaine Brown. I think that's an 8-1. There's a good chance of that being shown. Reactor, possibly. Mikhail Lawal, Stephen Ward. I think it's such a good card. It depends on how much they show. Because
but if not, presumably they'll end up with a YouTube/Facebook stream of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you got 6 really good fights, and you can't say Linus that fight's. In my opinion, Linus is going to win that, and win that well. And I would say some of the other fights, possibly a bit more competitive, because I think Linus is just too good for Julio Venosi. I think Linus is levels above. Despite the fact the kid's got a good record, I think we're going to see Linus show his skills and look exceptional. So Sky may take a view that the other ones you can't call it as easy, and they may well go there. The top 2 fights are really. I actually got to say, I look at that card at Wembley, and I think that's better than Eddie Hearn was offering up at the end.
I said it at the time, though. At the end, I think he sunk that ship on purpose so that he could make his DAZN cards sound and look better 12 months down the line, because he can go, well, look what I offered up when I had my hands tied and I had no budget and Sky wouldn't give me what I wanted. Now look at what I can offer. I genuinely think that's the case. It was the Ritson card that was the last one on Sky, and that was trash. So look, the other side of it is it's almost an open goal for Wasserman and Boxer to look better than what departed the platform. Good on them, because it is a competitive card, and fights like Lawal versus Ward, that's a really good fight. Reactor, I hope he gets on TV. He's an exciting fighter. He's always got that right hand that can smash faces, like Sam Hyde found out.
Yeah.
And Eubank is always going to be on TV. It doesn't matter who he's fighting.
I mean, there's some really good cars. I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be going to that, and I'm actually looking forward to the show to go and watch the whole show.
Yeah, yeah. I think I might have to come down. I'll come and join you. But no, it's. I'm impressed with it. I'm impressed at Newcastle one where they've got Fury, as in Huey, Savannah Marshall, presumably Whitson, I guess, is on that one.
That's right.
But I'm really impressed when they just dumped the whole list of names of people that they signed. I was like, right, they've actually, they've gone deep with that. It's a serious list of names. It's not, in the men's side of it, it's not the absolute top tier, but it's a good mixture of names that are recognizable, names that are coming up, and then names that you don't really recognize, but presumably they know something about them that I don't.
Yeah.
I was impressed. And then on the female side, you've signed Shields and Marshall. Like, just give us that. Give us that 5 times over the next 3 years.
You see, you could find that there'll be a little exodus from Matchroom to Sky. It's possible, The money may not be as good, but it's going to be very interesting to see. Do you know DAZN? If you look at, they were taking over American boxing. They're hardly doing a show. I can't remember how long ago the last show was, but it's a long time.
Yep. I've had a question actually from Highfield Boxing, your mate and mine, Terry.
Terry, good.
Does Steve see there being a bidding war between Sky and DAZN for talent, and will we start to see signing bonuses become a thing?
Right, it's a really good question. I don't think Sky have got that big a budget. I think they've got a budget, but I don't think it's humongous. So I don't necessarily think so. What's interesting though, Caroline Dubois was signed with Sky rather than
they just slipped that in, didn't they?
So they've obviously didn't want to go to Warren where Daniel is, didn't fancy Eddie Hearn, so has gone with Sky. I think I think it's going to be difficult if DAZN starts to acquire football rights. I think it might be different, but until they acquire mainstream football rights, I'm not buying into this DAZN thing. I'm not sure that the eyeballs are going to be there. I think Sky will still have more eyeballs than DAZN. So we'll see. In terms of a bidding war, I'm not so sure. I think DAZN have got more money, but it may not be necessarily the best thing. I think Sky will invest in certain talent, and the rest of the time they'll just make fights. And then it really will be winner stays on. It really will be, if you're good enough, you break through. But you can see what they're doing. They're making proper fights here. They're not, I mean, you remember there is a difference. Let me go back onto Linus, for example. Linus, we signed with Wasserman, not with Sky. Now, I class that as quite a smart move because Wassermans are developing Linus. I'm not sure if some of these fighters, Lowell, for example, who they've got, I wouldn't class that a development fight. I mean, they're putting them in, which I think is great. But if you can get developed while you're on Sky, I think that's important. So you present it at the right time. I mean, I do think that we would like to work with Sky and the right fighters that are there. But I think that I'm not so sure that's what Sky's plan is going to be. I think they're going to be all about pitching good fights. And there's going to be a certain amount of fighters that they will develop, but they're going to be, they'll be fighting. And if you win, you go on. If Michael Lowell beats Ward, they'll take Lowell on. If Lowell loses, they'll take Ward on. I think that's the way it's going to be at Sky. And then they will build them up that way. I don't actually think there's going to be massive bidding wars. I just think that somebody like Savannah Marshall has decided that she thinks she'll get a better crack of the whip with Sky than she will have Eddie Hearn. That's why they've gone there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, as you're saying there about they'll keep certain fighters on and develop them. Someone like Huey Fury, someone like Savannah Marshall, the aim will be to make them headline talents within the next 12 months to be flagships of Sky. But what you were just going back to there about DAZN, is it going to work? How many times a day? I don't know, maybe 3-4 times a day. I'll just check on my phone, the Sky Sports app, or I'll just log on to Sky Sports, see what's going on. They can push that boxing into your face. And they were doing it all last week as they were making these announcements. Just on the top 2-3 stories, something about boxing, their new stable, get the Josh Taylor fight, all these things. And it's always in your face. The Zone don't have that ability. If you have the app, they can push you notifications and keep reminding you that they're there. But if you don't have the app, they don't have a route to market for me. And I think that's going to be the struggle until they get the other broadcast packages.
And that's what they need. If they get them, it's a different ballgame, but that we don't know about yet. But at the moment, I do not think they're going to get the numbers that Sky will get.
I'm sure Eddie will tell us. So, Will, where will we get? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, Linus being signed to Wasserman on Sky, brilliant stuff. Whether we get to see him in this fight or not, we will see him in the future on Sky. Of that, I've no doubt. Correct. Chris Eubank Jr., I don't give a monkey's what that man does in the ring against who he's always going to be until he retires. One of my top 5 favourite fighters, just because it's Chris Eubank Jr. And just, I love his stuff. You know, it's such a lazy comparison and such a lazy line to draw between the two. But him and Conor Benn, they don't have to be there. They don't have to be in that ring. And yet they're two of like the most exciting people to watch when they put the gloves on.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Anyway, right, I've got some questions. Should we fire through them?
Okay.
So I can't remember what else we were meant to talk about. Better Q on Twitter. Firstly, best of luck with the first show back this weekend. You've done great to get up and running, so well done.
Cheers. 2,
and this kind of follows on from what we were just chatting about. Is there a formal agreement for a path for your fighters onto Sky, Boxer, Wasserman, a la Udofia Pools, if performance merits? So I guess that means for any that aren't presently on.
No, I think every single fighter is dealt with by their merits. And I think there will be plenty of opportunities the fighters will get to showcase their skills. But it will be they'll go in a fight there, and the winner will get something. I think that is basically where you're going to go here, because Lowell, for example, whether he's signed or not signed or just given a one-fight deal, he has to go and beat these people and go and win a major title before Sky are going to really take him on. And that's what I think is going to be. I think there'll be opportunities. The Brad Paul's Linus was a slightly different thing, because Wasserman's have got dates on Sky and co-promoting. So that's different. They're developing their talent. It's slightly a different arrangement than Sky. So from Sky's perspective, I think at the moment we just wait to see how they develop. As I said, John Wishausen, who's doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, a great boxing man. And I'm sure we will have plenty of opportunities to get our fighters on Sky. And I look forward to it.
Well, you were saying earlier about the winner stays on thing and matching people hard. I was actually chatting with our friend Terry the other day. We were discussing, he was saying with your limitations around 7 fights, does it get to a point where you just put 7 of yours against 7 of yours just so that you get them onto a card together and they all get opportunities to fight?
Well, I think we're going to get to very difficult situations here, because there's not enough fight. The problem you've now got with fighters, there's not going to be enough shows and cards for every boxer to box on.
Yeah.
So when they get to a certain number of fights now, they've got to try and get a jiggle on with their career to try and get on the TV platform. I would imagine that Sky will, in time, because of boxers' prize fighter format, I'd imagine they'll go back to doing a bit of that at some point. So there'll be opportunities for fighters around the country to do them if that happens. But on our shows, yeah, I think it doesn't have to be against ours. I mean, Jamani Camero was fighting Conor Vian. Conor Vian isn't ours, and neither is Billy Allington. So I think there will be points where promoters get together and managers get together and they say, look, let's put our 2 fighters together to create a fight.
Rather than having one lot of ticket seller paying an opponent, it's just have 2 ticket sellers and whack them in.
I think that's going to have to happen. You're going to need that to survive, you can't survive on 7, right? You're going to go bankrupt on 7 fights, and who knows whether, God knows, what is going to happen. But even if you get 8 fights or 9 fights, you still got the same problem. You are going to need fights that are going to be competitive, that are going to be for titles, where both sides are selling, and you create the atmosphere. You can't go and put a card on. You have to develop fighters. So unfortunately, what the board are actually doing, and this relates to Terry, and I do this, it's unfortunately going to affect the product, because, and Terry's always been the thing about small hall products, right? And I've always said that I think that he's been over harsh, because I think that we did a really good job, for example, on trying to do the job. Now, it can be, his assessment would be fair, because you're still going to have lots of novices on their way through at the start. So they're going to occupy a large percentage of the card. So you've got to try and make sure that you've got 1 or 2 at the top of the card where it's competitive fight. So, we've got, on the 3 shows we've got this fight, then we've got Adrian Martin, Lewis Surrett. Then on the 3rd one, we got Liam Dillon, Dennis Wahomey, Ricky Little's pulled out again against Jack Hughes for the 4th time, I think it is, he's pulled out. So, you've got to try on each show to make a fight that works. I mean, I've seen that, for example, there's a Southern Area heavyweight fight at York Hall the day before one of our shows, the Mo Pryor show. And with all due respect to them, you've got Dominic Akalade against Jonathan Palata. They don't sell. I've had them both. They don't sell. Now, it's not a bad fight, I suppose.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
No, but and I'll watch it if it's streamed on that Fight Zone. But they're not big sellers, either one of them. So you're not, for me, you've got to have an atmosphere at York Hall for the big fights. And that's the thing you've got to do by putting a decent top of the bill on, to say, well, if you're only putting 7, 8 fights on, one of them has to be a real barnstormer each time. Because otherwise you're putting on stuff that, people don't want to pay to watch. Prospects, loads of prospects, all working through their careers. I mean, it's not few of them, yes, but you can't have a whole card of it. So it's absolutely bang on. And I think from Terry's point of view, if he's watching this, he will have to accept that the way that the board have made these rules is going to devalue the product for a while, until things can get sorted, until fighters can get a numerical number of fights, and then they go together and you create more competitive fights.
I thought Jonathan Palata had gone to Warren.
Well, he's not now, is he?
I know someone will know.
Doesn't look like it is, but he may well be, because Alfie Warren promotes with Mo Pryor. Maybe they've got dispensation for that fight. But I mean, not being funny, his performance, I'm a boxer, wouldn't really stick him to be a Warren fighter, would it? And again, I don't know what's happened to him since he left us, but I mean, he left us undefeated, and it's not gone very well. But
Terry will know. Terry, call me, tell me.
But Terry knows he's talented. He is talented. But there we go. Not all the most talented fighters end up in the, doing what they should do.
Other question from Better Q. With last week's show's revelation that Mickey Elliott has walked away from promoting at present.
No, that's a misunderstanding. He's walked away from open shows. He's still going to do dinner shows.
Does Steve feel there's a gap in the market for black tie dinner shows?
No, Mickey will still do them. Because he can still make money out of that with the corporate stuff he sells to. This is the problem. York Hall, and that is the problem. That's where they've ruined it and done the damage. So those shows will work where you've got corporate money coming in. Mickey still do that.
All right. Lee on Twitter, I was only there. 3 really good questions, actually. Let's fire through them. Number 1, thoughts on Sonny Edwards and his no drugs, no champions agenda, including donating shirt sales to Jeanette Zapata's family. So that is the tragic story of Jeanette Zapata from Canada, who week. In the same week that you've got Virgil Ortiz failing a drugs test for diuretic, and the WBC have gone, well, don't worry about it. You can go ahead and fight, because we don't think that's performance enhancing. We don't think something that allows you to basically piss away weight is going to help you get an advantage. in the same week where a lady has lost her life in the ring. It's.
Well, I actually like Sonny Edwards, right? I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I actually like him. He says what he thinks. He doesn't care what people think about him, but he says it, and he says it. I like Sonny Edwards as a person. I think he's all right.
He's out of Saturday Night, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm the greatest fan of. I'm not the greatest fan. I think he's super talented. I'm not the greatest. I watch Conor Benn and I might be excited. I'm not excited about the Sonny Edwards fight, but I think he's a really good. I think he's a really decent bloke, and I hope he becomes world champion for years and unifies and everything. So
yeah, well, he's not fighting Saturday Night, so that doesn't help.
Is he not?
He's twisted his ankle apparently. So it's been called off.
You know more than I do. I've been so busy this week. I haven't read the news. So
yeah, okay. But no, I'm a big fan of Sonny Edwards championing the anti-drugs agenda, going all in on that Canelo team. He has not held back. I hope he carries the same energy the next time somebody from Britain fails the drugs test. That's all I say.
That's the point. You need to. The thing he needs to do is have an approach that he feels the same about everybody, rather than because you've got
it's not only those dirty foreigners. We've got them over here as well.
Exactly, plenty of them.
But yeah, that whole Virgil Ortiz stuff is absolutely shocking. When you actually pull it apart. And then you got Mauricio Suleiman come out yesterday and release this whole press release saying about he basically had a go at fans for having a go at the fact the fight's been allowed. Wow. Lee, question number 2: thoughts on Josh Warrington fans chucking drinks at Maurizio Lara? Wow.
It's football. I mean, look, Leeds. They're basically football fans that have gone to boxing and. Bad behaviour. It happens, doesn't it? What can you do?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, but I would anticipate Mauricio Lara, probably used it as a bit of fuel for his fire. He had that big sombrero on, probably use it like an umbrella.
He was, I mean,
it was always going to be hostile.
What they like, it wouldn't have changed the result.
It was always going to be a hostile atmosphere for him.
Wouldn't have made a scrap of difference to the result, in my opinion, if there'd been no headbutt.
No, and I'd like to see him do what Grealish and Mount did, of just picking up a drink at the end. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's not the classiest move, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen from a boxing crowd. To be fair,
no, it's the worst. I mean, I remember Tyson Fury's pissing in. They were pissing in. Was it Billy Joe Saunders pissing in cups, or Tyson Fury and chucking it at people? So pissing in cups and throwing piss over people. I think that was pretty disgusting. It was down at the XL, and that's why boxing has never gone back to the XL. So there's been a lot of
Fury, Chisora 2, Eubank Saunders.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a card. That one. I was there with Andy. I met Andy for that. That was probably the last amazing card that I remember.
Yeah,
top to bottom. There was Skeet on there. But yeah, there was some cracking fights that night. Question number 3, final one. Is there such a thing as COVID insurance if boxers test positive and have to pull out?
No.
Nothing at all that covers you?
No.
Which again goes back to why it's such a stupid risk, really, isn't it? Like, ultimately, it's a stupid risk to be doing it.
To be promoting?
Yeah.
You're an idiot. I mean, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Like Kevin said to me the other day, he said, do you know somebody? He said, if you're sitting there doing your advice to people like you do, and people come to you for advice on all their finances, how to run their businesses, and you walked into you'd call yourself an idiot. And he's right. I'd call myself an idiot because it makes no sense.
If you laid all the facts out on the table and looked at it objectively
and said, well, hold on a minute, you've got an organisation, your own organisation is trying to put you out of business by what they're doing. That's what's happening. They're putting, whether they intend to do that or not, and that's what in effect they're doing. They're putting you out of business. And there you are, still trying to carry on when the people in charge of you are trying to put... In the financial world, it's like the FCA trying to put me out of business. They don't. They impose rules and regulations, which are sensible rules and regulations, which we adhere to and operate so we can operate a profitable business and a successful business, look after our clients. You don't have them trying to put you out of business.
Yep. Yeah, right. We'll stop there before you say anything that's going to get you in trouble and called down to a meeting.
But the thing is, it is true, because I'm not saying that they're doing it deliberately. I'm saying by the rules that they are imposing, they are going to put people out of business. And it's true. It's not.
It is true.
I'm not slating them off. I'm just saying that these decisions are putting people out of business. And
it's not just the moment they put you out of business, they also put potentially, 80 boxers out of business. The moment they put Mo Pryor out of business, they put how many boxers out? The moment they put all these constraints on people that squeeze them out of the sport, you're not just squeezing out the manager or the promoter, you're squeezing out all of the ecosystem underneath them and the structure underneath them. And I don't think they have the best interest of the people involved in the sport at heart. But I will leave it there as well before I get anyone else in trouble.
Brilliant. So I'll see you Saturday with any luck.
Saturday night, get down to York Hall. Hopefully I can get there. But if I can't, you go. Make sure that you're there supporting boxing. You've heard about the constraints. You've heard about the issues. You've heard about why Steve's an idiot for putting it on anyway. But look, come Saturday night, all that will be forgotten. You'll sit and enjoy many rounds of boxing. Hopefully Jamani goes away with the title and it'll be an amazing night.
Exactly that. And we may have our spirit rekindled.
Exactly. Real.
Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it. Sorry for the delay.
No worries. Take care.
Take care. Bye.